Hello, and welcome to Awakening Faith. My name's William Phillips, and I'm glad that you're here. I also want to say, though, that if you are new here to this channel, please like and subscribe, and also feel free to ask questions in the comment if there's something that is on your mind or within the video that you have questions about. Feel free to ask, and I'll try to get back to you or maybe bring it in another video at another time. And with that, let's get started.
So I was listening to Repo Man in one of his videos that he just came out with, where he's discussing the things that are going on in Gaza. Well, that spurred me to look into uh, Habakkuk, because I believe, in my understanding, that Habakkuk is a dual prophecy about Babylon, or the spirit of Babylon. So, with that, uh, I'm going to share my quick study of that with you as a teaser, basically, that you can go and dig into this word yourself and see um, if what I say is true. The visions of Daniel and Habakkuk. So, we're going to start off with this right here. This is from Habakkuk 2:2, which all watchmen and people who are watching, we all look at these verses here in Habakkuk when it says, "It will tarry, surely it will come, it will not tarry." Well, it spurred me to look at this. So then the Lord answered me and said, "Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." Okay. "Behold, the proud, his soul is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Okay. So write the vision and make the vision plain on tablets, that he may run who reads the vision. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end the vision will speak, and the vision will not lie. Though the vision tarries, wait for the vision, because the vision will surely come. The vision will not tarry. So I read it that way because every time you see the word it's referring to the vision. All right. So let's go and look at what Habakkuk's vision was and what it's all about. Okay. So we're here at Habakkuk 1, and we see here in my Bible app the prophet's question: "O Lord, how long shall I cry, and will you not hear? Even cry out to you violence, and you will not save. Why do you show me iniquity and cause me to see trouble? For plundering and violence are before me. There is strife and contention arises. Therefore the law is powerless, and the justice never goes forth. For the wicked surround the righteous. Therefore perverse judgment proceeds." Okay, and then we see here in my Bible app, the New King James Version, there's headings over certain passages here. So this was the prophet's question, Habakkuk's question, and then the Lord's reply, which we'll look at here in a minute. And then there's the prophet's second question: "Are you not from everlasting, O Lord my God, my Holy One? We shall not die. O Lord, you have appointed them for judgment." We'll see that here in a minute in the study as well. Okay. And then it talks about the just shall live by faith, which is what I read just a minute ago. But then it goes on and says, "Woe to the wicked." And then it's the prophet's prayer in chapter 3. Okay. So a prayer of Habakkuk the prophet on Shaganoth. Okay. So now we are looking at Habakkuk, right? Well, Zechariah is where I'm going to start. Why? Because in Zechariah, okay, Zechariah was talking about the vision of a woman in a basket. So now we're looking at Zechariah's vision as well. But it's more along the lines of who the woman is in the basket, okay? And this is in my Habakkuk study. And again, I will post this online so you'll have access to this, or you can read along as we're doing this video. These events of the placing the measure of wickedness is for future time. So it cannot mean ancient Babylon. So this is in Zechariah's time. All right. He was post exile, right? So when he was prophesying, it was post exile. So now, verse 7 mentions a woman. Revelation 17 describes the harlot. We can see the harlot is wickedness. The Babylonian lifestyle is wickedness and is of Satan. Now, you remember in 1 Thessalonians that the lawlessness is already at work. The woman is to be placed in the house. Well, where's the house? Washington, D.C. when the time comes. Well, Washington, D.C. has so many Roman and Greek architecture throughout the city, not to mention an obelisk, the monument of Egyptian flavor. So, and there's also an obelisk in the courtyard of the Vatican. All pagan and symbols for false gods and things of that nature. But there's also another understanding to what this wickedness is. Some understanding is nuclear ammunition, because there's a lead cover today is what we use to contain radiation. So therefore, as you see right there, here is the disc, okay? Here's the lead disc lifted up. And this is the woman sitting inside the basket. Then he said, "This is wickedness." And he thrust her down into the basket and threw the lead cover over its mouth. All right. So again, we see a woman. Now remember that the harlot, the woman, okay, uh, is sitting and in the basket. But then you come down here and it says, "Where are they carrying the basket?" And he said to me, "To build a house for it in the land of Shinar. When it is ready, the basket will be set there on its base." So I think this could be two meanings. Now, the second understanding that I said about the nuclear ammunition, well, that could be rockets, because it says it's wings up here in verse 9. "Then I raised my eyes and looked, and there were two women coming with the wind in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the basket between earth and heaven." So that could be meaning to that of the uh, missile, right? Because it has the fins on the end of it, like wings. So, but anyway, I do believe, though, that this can also mean um, Mystery Babylon being set up once the house was built. Well, where was it built? New York City and Washington, D.C. And we'll see that more in the study. So, right here, the United States has two main rivers that is entirely within the boundaries. The Mississippi and the Missouri rivers both are pretty much the same size, 2340 plus miles. But now you look at it, the definition for Shinar, country of two rivers. Now, of course, we know that Euphrates and the Tigris is in the land of modern day Iraq and Syria. But even so, the United States has two rivers as well. So could it be that we're looking at this being U.S. as well? Well, anyway, to move on, Habakkuk also says, "Look among the nations and watch." Okay, I'm reading right here. "Be utterly astounded, for I will work a work in your days which you would not believe, though it were told you. For indeed, I am raising up the Chaldeans, a bitter and hasty nation, which marches through the breadth of the earth to possess dwellings that are not theirs. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity proceed from themselves. So, who is this that we're talking about here? The United States has always thought of themselves to be so great that nobody can stand against them. They are the greatest nation on the planet. Now, as you keep going, their horses also are swifter than leopards and more fierce than evening wolves. Their chargers charge ahead. Their cavalry comes from afar. They fly as the eagle that hastens to eat. What do you just think about this? The U.S., right here, there is not a continent or an island that it does not have a military presence or around it. And this was back in 2015. So then you go on, and in Habakkuk, he says here, "Are you not from everlasting, O Lord my God, my Holy One? Why shall we shall not die? O Lord, you have appointed them for judgment." Well, of course, Babylon was judged, and later on, Medo Persia comes in and takes over them. But this is a dual prophecy, like I said. In the Great Tribulation, there is a judgment marked for them. It's a day appointed, the day of the Lord. Now, as we can see here, they take up all of them with a hook and they catch them in their net. Well, they gather them in their dragnet, therefore they rejoice and are glad. Therefore they sacrifice to their net and burn incense to their dragnet, because by them their share is sumptuous and their food plentiful. Shall they therefore empty their net and continue to slay nations without pity? Now, of course, they're not going around with their military and destroying nations, but they are um, monitoring them. They're policing them. They are everywhere and involved in many things throughout the world. The U.S. is, but not to mention this though, that their share is sumptuous and their food plentiful. The U.S. has always been a very wealthy nation and has made the nations of the world wealthy by them. Of course, we can also see that in Amos 8. He talks about the basket. The meaning is a snare, and the United States has been a snare to the world with its vast wealth and abominations. So the snare, idolatry, and materialism. But then what happens? Habakkuk says, "I will stand my watch and set myself on the rampart and watch and see what he will say to me and what I will answer when I am corrected." So he is a watchman right now. So we go on and say, "Woe to the wicked! Indeed, he is because he transgresses by wine. He is a proud man, and he does not stay at home, because he enlarges his desire as hell, and he is like death and cannot be satisfied. He gathers to himself all nations and heaps up for himself all peoples." Now, this part right here is where it really speaks to the United States. "Will not all these take up a proverb, a taunt against him, and a taunting riddle against him, and say, Woe to him who increases what is not his, how long? And to him who loads himself with many pledges." Does the U.S. own a lot of debt right now and pledges to other countries around the world? Will not your creditors rise up suddenly? Is not uh, China and Russia and them dumping all their U.S. dollars? And you will become their booty, because you have plundered many nations. All the remnant of the people shall plunder you. So it does sound a lot like what the U.S. is today, and that Russia and China and the BRICS nations are trying to uh, do away with the petrodollar. But as we know, this isn't going to happen until the tribulation starts. U.S. has to fall. Woe to him who builds a city, woe to him who builds a town with bloodshed, who establishes a city by iniquity. If anybody knows the history of the New York City and how it uh, has developed over the years, a lot of bloodshed of ill-gotten gain and wickedness that goes on in that city is just Unbelievable. And then verse 14. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. So think about that. The earth will be filled. Well, this is speaking of Jesus Christ here. And today, the whole world has access to this knowledge. And what's the knowledge? The Bible. We keep going, and in chapter 3 here, we see Habakkuk talks about the end right now, the way I see it and understand it here in these verses. It says, you march through the land in indignation, you trample the nations in anger. You went forth for the salvation of your people. Who's your people? The bride, the ones who have accepted Christ as Savior. For salvation with your anointed. And who's the anointed? Jesus is the anointed one. Now, where I see the end times being portrayed here in Habakkuk is right here. You struck the head from the house of the wicked by laying bare from foundation to neck. US is destroyed, and we see the beast that is mortally wounded in Revelation. Now, again, that's in another study that I've done. You can go read it in chapters 17 and 18. But we've heard that the head was wounded, and then he is raised. Again, this is a teaser video. Verse 14. You thrust through with his own arrows. What are arrows? Weapons. What weapons? Nuclear weapons. The head of his villages. Well, what's the head of villages? Capitals. So capitals will be struck down. Can we see this happening when this all takes place? And I believe that the rapture is where all the devastation is going to happen, and that's where we'll come to now. So what's the next vision that we're looking at? Daniel. And here in verse 23, at the beginning of your supplications, the command went out, and I have come to tell you, that is Gabriel, for you are greatly beloved, Daniel. Therefore, consider the matter and understand the vision. So, what's the vision? 70 weeks. So, the 70 weeks was determined for Israel right here in verse 26. And after the 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. So this is when Christ was crucified on the cross. Now this is in that other study I did, Daniel 9:26 and Isaiah 17. Again, teaser trailer. This is a teaser video. Go look at those video studies. But what I'm wanting you to see here is about the visions. So what are we seeing here? The end of it shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolations are determined. There's the desolations. Okay. Right down here. What does it say? But at the end, the vision will speak. Right here. The end of it shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolations are determined. There's the end. Are we seeing this build up in the end days that we're in right now, talking about these visions? I say yes. And here we go. The vision that both Habakkuk and Daniel see are of kingdoms. Daniel was of the four kingdoms that we know now as Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greek, and Roman. But Habakkuk was looking specifically at Babylon and the destruction of Jerusalem, Judah. So if we look at Habakkuk as a dual prophecy, like I've been saying, then the vision of the judgment on Babylon would be the judgment of the Babylonian wicked lifestyle that we see today. Also, we see Mystery Babylon in the persona of the United States of America, New York City. Notice that in Habakkuk, the vision is for an appointed time. Look at it, or look at the vision. What is a tablet back then, and what is it today? Item used to write on. Today, it's God's Word. So when will the vision speak? Well, I believe we just witnessed the beginning of 1 Thessalonians 5:3, the starting of the vision coming to completion. And how do I see that? Right here. Remember the study in Daniel 9:26 and Isaiah 17, where the rapture is tied to the destruction of Damascus? Well, now that we see this mystery Babylon, the United States, stepping in and taking position in Gaza, saying we're going to own it, which is desolate, by the way. You've seen the pictures, it's completely destroyed. The 10 kings are not going to like this. And who are the 10 kings again? We think that, look at the players that are around right now: Russia, China, the BRICS nations, and Turkey, by the way, is one of those who is in the BRICS nation. Now, Turkey wants to take control of Israel. They're amassing armies, or armies are coming down into Syria. Syria is where Damascus is. Could we see the events now lead up to the destruction of Damascus? I say yes. We could very well see, if the U.S. does what they're going to do in Gaza and Israel allows it to happen, one, we see the land split. Two, we see Turkey and those of the 10 possible kings hating it and then coming down. And we could see something happening in Damascus. And like we said in my other studies, Zephaniah 1 7 and 8. Okay. So we can see the events leading up and everything culminating down to Passover. So this was a short video, and it's about the vision of Daniel and Habakkuk. Like I said, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And again, like and subscribe and share with others, most of all. And lastly, remember the ABCs of salvation. Please consider accepting him today. Today is given, but tomorrow is not. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And especially at this time in our world today, tomorrow is not guaranteed. There is a day appointed. It's what we're talking about here, and it's coming quickly. Thank you.